Hi everybody. Today we are going to be drawing a silly snowman ice cream cone. So what we're going to make is kind of the ice cream cone down here, and then we're going to have a couple of scoops, and we are going to be creating the details of a snowman up above. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to slant my paper a little bit. I want my cone and my snowman to be kind of on an angle. If you want yours to be straight up and down, that's fine, but I prefer kind of things to be on an angle if I'm not really doing a background, because it lets me fill the whole space. So the first thing I'm going to create is my cone. I want my cone to be almost half of the paper, and so I'm going to make a really nice large V shape. And you'll notice that if I hold my paper straight up and down, it's kind of slanted. The next thing that I am going to do is I'm going to make the bottom part of this scoop of ice cream. And I'm going to make it look like it is going to be dripping. Since it's at an angle, the drip would come to the corner that is lower on our cone. The next part that I'm going to do is I'm going to make kind of the top part of this ice cream scoop, but I'm not going to go all the way up. Okay, so there's my bottom ice cream scoop. The next step is to add another scoop on top. And if we have room, we might make this a 3-scooper. So I am going to, again, make that wiggly line just because we want to show that it is ice cream and not like this round, just a ball. Okay, so I'm not going to make a drip on every single one. So we're going to have that one, and then this is going to come up. This is going to come in a little bit more, and then up, and then I'm going to add one more since yeah, I'll have room. So I'm going to add one more after this one. And on this one, I'm going to make it come all the way across and over. So now I have essentially what looks like an ice cream cone with 3 scoops of ice cream on it. Now we get to add in some of our cool details, and you are drawing this all out in pencil. I'm using a marker just so that you can see it better on the video. So maybe in here, I'm gonna make my pumpkin facing that way a little bit, I think. And so I can add some buttons going down his belly. Okay, up in here, I'm going to add kind of the face, and I am going to start with a carrot nose. I'm going to add just a few extra lines to make it look more like a carrot. I can make these look like a button if I want to. These are going to be for my snowman's eyes. And you can make your snowman showing a variety of different emotions. It's going to be up to you as to what you'd like to see. I'm also going to add a hat. Now, I am using marker, so it's not going to look quite as good as if you were drawing yours in pencil first and then you erase it, because I can still see that line. But what I might do is add a design in there to kind of disguise it. And if you want it to have one of those poofy parts, you just kind of make a zigzag line going around, and that makes on top of the hat. You could make a top hat looking one. It's really up to you. you will choose kind of what kind of a shape you want to use for a mouth. I'm making it look like there are little rocks or something, and he's got a smile on. I am going to make a spot right there. Is going to look, so this is going to make it look like that stick arm is sticking into the ice cream. So all I'm kind of doing is making that stick. I'm making kind of a wiggly line, and it's getting bigger as it gets closer. So that's one arm, and I would have another arm kind of sneaking out from behind the other side of my ice cream. Okay, so that's on the other side behind. And if you wanted to add a scarf or any other details, that would be absolutely fine. Another thing that you can do to add interest to your artwork would be design a flavor that you want these to be. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some patterns and designs to my hat. I might add a few extra flavor details, but then we're going to work on coloring. Alright, at this point I feel like I have added enough detail to my artwork. Another thing that we're going to talk about is our cone. We don't want it to look like it's perfectly smooth. What we're going to do is we're going to be adding some texture lines to it as a part of our coloring, because we want it to look like it has that bumpy kind of waffle cone feeling to it. So what I am going to do next is we're going to work on coloring. I am going to color my whole entire cone lightly with a brown crayon. After you are done with just coloring it lightly, we're going to go back in and we are going to press firmly so that we'll get a darker color, and we're going to add some of that textured waffle cone design to our work. Okay, so right now our cone looks pretty flat. We don't want it to look flat. We want it to look like it's curved and dimensional. And so we're going to add some of those lines coming down for our waffle cone. So we're going to start by just pressing firmly, and I'm not going to bring them all the way down. Okay, so I'm going to kind of come this way. And then maybe add one in here. So you'll notice I'm not pressing super hard. I am pressing enough so that I can see that line, and I might pull this one down a little bit more. Okay. The next part that I'm going to do is I'm going to make some that cross there. Okay, and I can even make some on this side. And we are going to be doing some shading with this assignment as well. So we are going to be kind of careful in how we do everything. So just by adding lines like this, so I'm not just making straight lines and straight lines. These are mostly straight, but then these have a nice curve to them. That's going to help our cone look more three-dimensional. So I'm going to color the rest of my patterns, but again, I am not going to press firmly or hard because I am going to be adding value after. We're going to add other colors on top. Now that I have finished just kind of a base coloring on my snowman, now we're going to be adding some shading. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to be layering turquoise right over our work. I am going to add a shadow below the ice cream and onto the cone. I am going to also be adding some shading along the bottom edge of the cone, because I'm going to say my light source is here, so it's kind of an imaginary light. So everything on this side is going to be a little bit darker, that's where the shadows are going to be. And where anything overlaps, we're going to want to add shadows there as well. On our snowman, we are going to want to be careful because we don't want it super dark and we do want it to fade to being really light. The darkest part should be right along where the next layer of ice cream is, and in this corner where that shadow begins. So here, I'm just adding a little bit of almost like a dark outline. Then I'm going back in and pressing lighter and lighter. I don't want to press super hard because otherwise it's going to look a little bit silly when I go to finish my work. And so you'll see that I'm adding quite a bit of blue. I think it's a little bit hard to see, but I am adding quite a bit of blue to my artwork so that it's creating that nice value. If you created a flavor with your ice cream, so it's, for example, say this is strawberry ice cream, you could still color it pink and then add the blue over it without an issue at all. At this point, I want you to notice that I really have added quite a bit of that blue-green color to my snowman. I have not added it in my scarf or my hat yet, but I will be, and then we will talk about if we should add any other colors to help our work even more. At this point, I've finished adding all of my blue shadows. A couple of things that I am going to do is I'm going to go back over the cone a little bit with some brown because I feel like that is just really blue and I'd like it to look a little bit more brown. So what I'm going in and doing is I'm just going over mainly where the blue is, and I might go over some of those texture lines again to make this look a little bit darker on this side of my cone. And I'm also going to go up into here and just darken that up because it would be darker where the ice cream kind of has a shadow over where the cone is, where they're coming together. Another thing I did was I added a little bit of shadow in here, and I realize I need to do it here too to kind of give this area, that ridge area, a little bit more depth in my work. Something that you could do if you wanted to was you could cut this out and then glue it to a piece of construction paper in the background. You could also add some snowflakes. Normally I would say, you just add the little dots. For snowflakes, you would draw the little dots and then you color around it so that the snowflakes are left white, which is absolutely an option. You could also kind of go in and draw some cute little snowflakes in the background to fill up the space a little bit more. I think that's what I'm going to do, but I'm also going to add some swirls and stuff in the background, but I'm going to stick with those cool colors. You notice I've used a lot of cool colors because I want my artwork to kind of feel cold. So I'm going to go in lightly with a bunch of cool colors and just do a nice loose swirl, so I'm not pressing really hard. And then I'm going to go in with some other colors as well. And I'm going to stick with the cool colors just because I think those are going to work best. I'm not going to make my swirls go into the snowman because I want this to kind of fill the background. As I am finishing up, one of the things that I want you to notice is that yes, my background is looking kind of scribbly, but if you really watch how I have been filling it in, is I really have been using swirls the entire time. So I am not scribbling at all. If you look closely at my work, you will notice that there's just spirals all over the background. I like how loose and free the background is compared to the rest of my artwork. So at this point, you will see I have filled in my background for the most part. I don't expect every little white space to be filled if this is something that you're doing, but I have demonstrated the ability to color neatly, shade, add value appropriately, adding the texture of the cone. That's kind of an implied texture, so it's not saying if I touch this it still is flat. Implied means this is what it looks like it would feel like. And I have a cute little snowman. So I hope that you have enjoyed following along with our silly snowman ice cream, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.